Welcome to the legal hour at the SMT. T-Mobile class action claims Sprint merger cost Verizon, AT&T customers due to declining competition. I've got a legal thing here. There's a second one involving Dish. All right, let's see what all this entails. All right, so this article actually came out yesterday. I think it says that. Nope, 2 days ago, June 21st. All right, so I got I don't know, I found this in like my Google News feed. And here's the basic rationale of what's going on here. The T-Mobile and Sprint merger happens. The automatic assumption, and rightfully so, is that competition is going to suffer. And how does that affect us? Is that basically as a consumer, you have less options. When you have less options to compete with one another, whether it's, pricing, offers, plans, there's a lot of different things in terms of competition within the wireless networking space. And it's inevitable. I think there was going eventually at some point going to be some pushback, even after the merger had its opposition, its pushback. So here we are. All right, there's a group of Verizon and AT&T customers that are filing a class action lawsuit against T-Mobile, SoftBank, and Deutsche Telekom, and these are the companies that are involved in the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. The former parent company of Sprint is SoftBank. And then, of course, you have T-Mobile and their parent company, Deutsche Telekom. All right, so the subscribers are claiming that the merger that occurred in April of 2020 between T-Mobile and Sprint was anti-competitive and hurt them financially. The class action lawsuit has been filed in Illinois. So some of the things involved here is the premise that the combined two companies into a single behemoth have no incentive to compete meaningfully against the equally large Verizon AT&T. In principle, this is probably true. However, I have to disagree and I'm going to push back. I haven't seen Verizon and AT&T compete so fiercely with anyone over the last 20 years as I have since T-Mobile became a larger company. T-Mobile has and we're just calling a spade here, at least, from the way I see it. A larger T-Mobile company forces AT&T and Verizon to have to move when T-Mobile does something. So say, for example, T-Mobile adds hotspot to a plan. Wouldn't you know, Verizon increased hotspots to plan, like tethering and mobile hotspot to their plans. That happened. AT&T offering better port-in deals and switching. That's all a function of what T-Mobile has been doing. So I'm not sure if I'm buying this. The people that are filing this lawsuit, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Personally, I have seen T-Mobile essentially compete even more fiercely to grow. They have maybe done a couple of suspect things to, a couple of different elements of their, offers within their stores and some raising some prices on some like SIM activation fees and other things. But, obviously the DOJ is regulating that and they can't raise plan pricing or anything. I feel like this class action lawsuit is a little premature. We won't truly know this until after that 3-year window where T-Mobile will have the ability to potentially raise pricing. But these subscribers say that it has impacted them now and it has caused them to have to pay more money and have less competition in the marketplace. I just disagree. Up until probably like the last few weeks, we'll call it the last couple of months, with really what seems to be economic issues, not necessarily competition issues. We've seen pricing be pretty flat, and people are consuming more and more data than ever, and the prices have stayed the same. So I'm not really sure. I agree with this. I don't think there has been declining competition. Nobody was moving to Sprint. Nobody was taking Sprint seriously. Not T-Mobile, not Verizon, not AT&T. And Verizon, AT&T typically didn't respond to T-Mobile anyway. But now I feel like they have in some cases, in some instances. I just don't see this as being declining competition. So as the story is being reported and as the class action lawsuit is being structured, I don't think there's evidence of this. Could this be a different story a year or two from now with merger terms kind of in the rearview mirror? That's possible. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think they have a leg to stand on here? Do you actually see it this way? Do you have proof or evidence to confirm that this has occurred? I just don't think that proof or evidence exists. I just don't see it. But could it be in a couple years? I think that's possible. All right, so sound off in the comment on this story. Drop me a line and let me know what you think about this. All right, this next story actually is about Dish, Fierce Wireless. I'm going to go ahead and link both these articles for you guys, okay? Those will be in the description box. Dish loses its appeal related to $3.4 billion in bidding credits for Spectrum. Okay, so this actually goes back pretty far, and there's a history to this. All right, so this story actually came out yesterday at the time of this recording. All right, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the D.C. Circuit ruled in favor of the U.S. FCC against Dish and its affiliated designated entities. All right, what happened here is pretty simple. Dish went in to a Spectrum auction, and what they did is they were doing it under different like LLC and company names. So that's why you got this term here, designated entities. And the reason they did that was because they would qualify for discounts on the spectrum, and that would bring down the cost of what they would have to pay for it. So if they were doing it as like Dish, whatever, I forget what it is, Little Bear or something, I forget how they do their thing in the auctions. But if they would have went in as just their company name, they wouldn't have got those discounts. They wouldn't have qualified. So the FCC caught wind of this, right? They find out, and now the FCC is suing them, got them in court. And since then, Dish has pushed back and appealed. But I mean, this is how this was going to play out. The court was going to rule in favor of the FCC. There's damning evidence that what Dish did was immoral, business unethical, trying to do this. The auction in 2014 for AWS-3 Spectrum, that spectrum, guys and gals, is major. It is very valuable. It's a lower mid-band frequency that if Dish wasn't able to get or had to pay more money for, number one, the FCC would have generated more revenue, right? Instead of having to give the discounts for like a smaller regional company that Dish, fronted with. But this would have gone to other carriers and it would have been live on air and it wouldn't have been hoarded and sat on by Dish for nearly a decade. Now, of course, they would be able to use it now, but the problem is what they did is essentially, illegal, as the rules are set up for the Spectrum auction. So the outcome is probably going. Oh, and here's the names of the companies, the DEs here: North Star Wireless, SNR Wireless, and it gave them approximately 3.4 billion in bidding credits to show you the value, like what Dish was trying to do here. Dish defaulted on 197 licenses, equal to the bidding credit amount, and it paid in full for some licenses it kept. But Dish is also sued in regard to the DE issue, and that case was determined in the FCC's favor yesterday. Okay, all right. So Dish did have to pay 515 million in fines in the early days of the dispute, so it's costed them pretty much every step of the way. I don't know what this legal strategy is going to be for the 3.4 billion in bidding credits, but I don't like the chances for Dish here. I don't think this is going to work out for them. Should this actually, finalize soon, this spectrum, the AWS-3, is going to go back up for re-auction, and you can bet your top dollar Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile will want in. And this is complete speculation, and I'm getting way ahead of myself. But if I was the FCC, and this is nothing personal against T-Mobile, I would keep T-Mobile out of this one because T-Mobile has a ton of the 1.9 gigahertz band 2 PCS, right? They got the band 25 from from Sprint. They have a ton of spectrum. It wouldn't make sense for them to get access to this spectrum. Plus I don't even really know if they could outbid AT&T or Verizon for this particular spectrum because those two companies already have pre-existing gear for it. They'd be very motivated to get the spectrum. And I don't think Dish would be compelled to want to rebuy spectrum that they would have lost. In fact, the FCC would be wise to punish Dish to keep them out of this. It wouldn't even make sense to allow them to successfully bid on stuff that they were stripped of because of illegal activities. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with this. And that spectrum would command a good dollar, like on a per megahertz pop basis. AWS auction generated tons of revenue. I remember Verizon spent like 10 billion on one of the AWS auctions. I think AT&T also spent about 10 billion. Dish spent about 10 billion. They spend a lot of money on this type of stuff. And because the tower grids, how the cell towers are spaced out, they're essentially at this point built on AWS grids and PCS grids. All right, so like band 2 and band 66. But with standalone 5G coming and N66 being a thing, it would make sense for a company to, if they have like 20 megahertz of band 66, maybe want to go to like 30 or something and go wider because of standalone 5G. Those channels can get wider than 20 megahertz, sub blocks or whatever. All right, I was just thinking aloud, and this is how I think this is going to happen. Dish losing its appeal, this stuff getting re-auctioned. Let's keep T-Mobile out of it, and then, I mean, I don't really care if T-Mobile was to get some or get it. It wouldn't make a difference to me. I use all major carriers, so I wouldn't care as long as it's on air. That's all I really care about. I'm a consumer. I do not care which carrier gets it. In my particular market, Verizon has a great tower grid. It would be great for them. Same for AT&T and T-Mobile. Wouldn't make an impact on my life whatsoever. I would just be glad to connect to it and not have it sitting on the sidelines. Anyways, comment down below your thoughts on the Dish situation with that FCC winning that lawsuit and potentially the spectrum going back up for auction. Tell me about the T-Mobile class action lawsuit with the merger and the anti-competitive claims. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Please do like, share, subscribe for more, and turn on the bell notification icon to never miss an upload. Links in the description for my Twitter. Business inquiries can go to the Gmail address down in the description. And my Patreon page is linked below in the description. Get early access to videos and exclusive content not found anywhere else. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Like, share, subscribe for more.